स्वामी नामने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्रीद्वैत गदाधर शिवास अधिगौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we're doing text 19 today.
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Dayaya Sarvabhuteshu.
Dayaya Sarvabhuteshu.
Santushtya Yena Kenava.
Santushtya Yena Kenava.
Sarvendriyo Pashantyacha.
Sarvendriyo Pashantyacha.
Tushatyashu Janardana.
Tushatyashu Janardana.
Yes.
May I read it?
Yes, please.
Translation. By showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied somehow or other, and restricting the senses from sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are some ways of these are some of the ways in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be satisfied by the devotee. The first item mentioned is Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu, showing mercy to all conditioned souls. The best way to show mercy is to spread Krishna consciousness. The entire world is suffering for want of this knowledge. People should know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original cause of everything. Knowing this, everyone should directly engage in his devotional service. Those who are actually learned and advanced in spiritual understanding should preach Krishna consciousness all over the world, so that people may take to it and make their lives successful. The word Sarva Bhuteshu is significant because it applies not only to human beings, but to all the living entities appearing in the 8.4 million species of life. The devotee can do good not only to humanity, but to all living entities as well. Everyone can benefit spiritually by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna is sounded, even the trees, animals, and insects benefit. Thus, when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly, he actually shows mercy to all living entities. To spread the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the world, the devotees should be satisfied in all conditions. Narayana para sarve na kutaschana vipyati. Swarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyartha darshina. It does not matter to the pure devotee if he has to go to hell to preach. The Supreme Lord lives in the heart of a hog, although the Lord is in the Vaikuntha. Even while preaching in hell, the pure devotee remains a pure devotee by his constant association with the Supreme Personality of God. To attain this state, one has to control his senses. The senses are automatically controlled when one's mind is engaged in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhu. ग्रहे रही कृष्ण नाम निरंतर लईबा, जारे देखा तारे कहा कृष्ण उपदेश, हमारा आज्ञा है गुरु तारा ए देश। न बाधिबे तोमार कभु विषय तरंग, पुनरापि एई ठानी पावे मोरा संग। This is what Lord Chaitanya spoke to Kurma Brahmana. So, see, in these 2.5 lines, Mahaprabhu has summarized the entire mission of ISKCON. And Srila Prabhupada took this mission to heart. If you just consider these 2.5 verses, or you can say half and 2 verses, Grahe Rahi Krishna Nama Nirantar Laiba, number 1, Jare Dekha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh, Amara Agya Hai Guru Tara Hai Desh. So you must constantly chant the holy names. Grahe Rahi Krishna Nama Nirantar Laiba, continuously. So, Nirantar Laiba means continuously think of Krishna, work for his mission, make your life his service. So, Punarapi eight hani pave mora sangha. If you obey the instructions of Lord Chaitanya, 2 things will happen. Na badhibe kabhu tomara vishaya tarang. So, so many times, especially we see grahasthas complain that, we have so many duties, we have job, we have family. This is known as vishaya taranga. Vishaya taranga. The wife, the child, the husband, mother, father, all these are vishaya taranga. because we wanted to enjoy their association. So Maya has created. So it's Vishaya Taranga, wave of Maya. So na kabhu badhive tomara Vishaya Taranga. So these Vishaya Tarangas will not hinder your progress. Punar api ei thani pabe mora sangha. You will meet Lord Chaitanya very soon. Punar api ei thani. So Mahaprabhu is saying, Punar api ei thani. Just be, determined that in future you will meet me very soon. But Prabhupada puts a very special comment at the end of this verse. It is, or rather, you will never leave my association. So Srila Prabhupada is like, the devotee is more merciful than the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that actually, if one is chanting continuously and preaching the holy names of the Lord, Lord Chaitanya is with him. He may not realize, he may not understand, but Lord Chaitanya is protecting him. He's always there. As soon as his consciousness is purified by continuous chanting, by continuous preaching, by taking risk on behalf of Krishna, as soon as his consciousness is purified, he will immediately realize that Lord was always with him. Who gave him the strength to preach? Who was giving him the knowledge to preach? That was the Lord. So you see, this is how Krishna consciousness works. It's a miracle. Krishna consciousness is miraculous, but you have to work hard. Nothing good in this life ever comes for free. So you really have to work hard for Krishna consciousness. Take risk. It's all right. What will happen? People will laugh at you. People will get angry at you. Or people will simply ignore you. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Today I was walking in the marketplace and I saw one Christian preacher. And he was talking about the eternality of soul. He was saying that which resides within the body is eternal. It was so interesting, he was an American preacher. I think it was American accent. Yeah, but whatever, he was a foreigner. But he was speaking so nicely, it felt so nice, no one was listening to him. Nobody. He was just with a loudspeaker, he was talking in public, but nobody was listening to him. But you see, it's never like that. The Lord is listening. The Lord pays attention. No matter how foolish you may be, how limited your knowledge would be. No matter how limited your knowledge is, no matter how laughable your language or your accent is, it doesn't matter. Krishna is paying attention. If you're sincere, Krishna will provide you the suitable intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Yena mam upayanti te. He will give you the intelligence to progress in bhakti. So in bhakti, at least, don't be shy. Don't be too scared. If you don't take risk for Krishna, Maya will make you take all sorts of risks. Actually, we have taken such big risks, in the face of Maya. We are living in such a dangerous position. Padam padam yat vipadam. Every step is so full of danger. But we are doing it because we are pleasing our own senses. Atmendriya priti vacha. I like it. I enjoy looking at the girls in the sun. I enjoy driving cars in the streets. I enjoy my salary. I enjoy my trips to Switzerland. All those risks I'm taking for Maya. Anything can happen. I step on the street, some car can knock me down. I fly in a plane can crash down. Or I could simply get a heart attack or a stroke. It happens. So you see, the material world is so full of dangers, but we are happily taking all sorts of risks here. But Krishna, we're not doing anything for him. Krishnendriya priti vancha tare kahe, tare dhare prema naam. That is love. If you take some risk for Krishna, Krishna will appreciate that. See, Krishna is very merciful and he's very kind. Krishna will just will just see whatever little bit you've done for him and he'll reciprocate. What is Nityananda Prabhu saying? What is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying about Nityananda Prabhu? That if he sees tears in your eyes when you chant the names of Lord Chaitanya, he is your servant. He gives you all the love of God. So you see, that is the mercy of Gaur Nitai. So please try to understand who is Krishna. Understanding Krishna doesn't mean, knowing how many avatars he has, how he incarnates, or how he expands. Understanding Krishna means what is Krishna's consciousness. Everything else is secondary. Those are just details. And try to understand how Krishna is trying to bring you back. So here Narad Muni is explaining that, by showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied somehow or the other and controlling senses from sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, the Lord of all the living entities, by showing mercy, Jiva Daya. That's difficult, Jiva Daya, hey, I have my wife and kids to take care of. It's all right, I don't have time. Well, there are other Jivas also. If you don't preach, who will? Who will? There are so many charlatans in the dress of devotees who are just cheating people, just trying to enjoy subtle sex and money from people in the name of preaching. Someone has to, stand up. It doesn't matter whether you're qualified or not. Just just step into the water. You will never learn how to swim if you don't step into the water. No one knows how to ride a bicycle before riding it. There's no YouTube tutorial which will help you how to learn a bicycle. You just have to sit on it, fall down, and then learn. Bhakti is also like that. Try preaching. Try preaching. Just do your best. It doesn't matter. If no one comes, it doesn't matter. Srila Prabhupada, for 6 months, he didn't have anybody to preach to. He was just preaching to the walls, literally. So what is our position? But that's the difference between us and Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada himself said, the difference between you and me is I am more sincere. That's all. Literally. And Prabhupada was never exaggerating. He literally means it. He was just more sincere. He was not disappointed when he met failures. He continued. And Srila Prabhupada's failures were also monumental, just like his successes. 20 years, Prabhupada simply kept on failing. We haven't even practiced bhakti for 20 years. And Prabhupada was failing for 20 years. So much of money he spent, so much time he spent, so much effort he put. And nothing came of it. But he was undeterred. That's bhakti. Krishna is testing. So daya sarva bhuteshu. Preach. That is the greatest mercy you can do. Many people say, Prabhu, I give donation. I donated to Annadan and some they are feeding some poor kids. Oh, I donated to cow seva. That's all nonsense. You don't want to serve Krishna, so you're just trying to get off cheaply. Like we give to a beggar, hey, take some money and get lost. No, Krishna is not beggar. He's begging for our love, but he's not a beggar. If we say, I gave donation, what donation have you given? What's your position to give donation? Who are we? Krishna has given us everything. If he decides, he can take away everything. If Krishna really wants our money, he will take us every single penny that we have. And we won't be able to stop him. He will take away lock, stock, and barrel. We'll be left with nothing if Krishna so desires. But we have to give ourselves to Krishna. Krishna is waiting for us to give ourselves. And that you can do only when you start preaching, when you study, when you preach. That is bhakti. That's why it said, it does not matter to the pure devotee if he has to go to hell to preach. Srila Prabhupada literally went to hell. The mentality of Indians was hellish. The mentality of Westerners was even more hellish. But Prabhupada went, he did it. Prabhupada once got angry. He said, I never needed to come here to preach to you Americans. I was happy in Vrindavan, but I have just come here for you. Prabhupada would hardly ever say things like this, but once he did say that also. That's the position, you see. A devotee can happily settle down in Mayapur and Vrindavan and lead the rest of his life. Nothing, no botheration. But to live in hell and preach, that is what pleases Krishna. Like Prabhupada says, once one reporter asked Prabhupada, reporter or disciple, Prabhupada, you say that every living entity is the son of Krishna, is the son of God. Then why do the Christians say that only Jesus is the son of God? So Prabhupada got a little angry at that. And Prabhupada replied, he said, one who does something extraordinary, he is the son. He is qualified. There were so many jivas, but only Jesus Christ took that risk to preach and to be crucified. So that is what pleases Krishna. One who does something extraordinary. We are doing so many extraordinary things for so many people. Just have a look. Just think of it carefully. All of you have sacrificed your lives for your family. Literally. You have sacrificed your pleasures, you have sacrificed your money, your time to keep your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband happy. And you don't want to sacrifice like 15 minutes, 20 minutes for Krishna, who has actually given you all that you have. Think of it this way. And then you'll be able to render devotional service. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam.
Dandat Pranam. Yes, Prabhu.
Might be a silly question, but looking at the translation, it's somehow seems like a very Mayavadi conception. Showing mercy to everyone, being satisfied,
Hmm.
and that too somehow or the other,
Hmm.
and then restricting the senses.
Hmm.
This to even Mayavadi does. So does it mean that Krishna is satisfied by Mayavadis as well?
See, Prabhu, you know, Mayavadis have hijacked this concept. They have taken the cheap way out, the easy way out. So that's why, that's why Prabhupada is clarifying in the purport. What does it mean to show mercy to the living entities? There's I go to a hospital and there's a cancer patient. Now, cancer is an extremely painful disease. Now the patient is screaming and crying. And I say, hey, don't cry here, take this paracetamol. He takes it and the pain goes down a little bit, or maybe not. And then again, when the paracetamol is done, then he's again crying in pain. Better is to give him what cures his disease. It may not treat the pain immediately, but it will treat the disease and remove the pain from the roots. So bhakti is that process. And bhakti is not some dry bhakti. We're not saying, okay, like boys are hungry in Bombay and we are giving them Harinam. No, we give prasad also. Prabhupada made that program, preaching and prasadam. So not that we make paneer makhan wala and tandoori roti for them, but we just give some khichdi, something to fill their bellies. And then the Harinam. Because khichdi is coming from Krishna, Harinam is coming from Krishna. We are just a medium. And we are, we have to be intelligent enough that Krishna has selected me for this mercy, and therefore I must take my responsibility very seriously. I must execute it intelligently. So when we think like this, then you see that is real mercy to the entity. But what Mayavadis do? Mayavadis are the opposite. They are deluding entities. Oh, you are God. Here's some khichdi, take some nice food, and have this hospital, have this school, have this hostel, and be happy. They're just massaging the material. That's it. They think that it is. See, Krishna doesn't think so. Sense control. So Prabhupada says, our acharyas say that sense control means, that to engage them in the service of Krishna. Rishikesh Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Our acharyas are saying. But what do Mayavadis say? Sit in one place and try to focus on Shunya. Just withdraw the senses. So actually their idea of sense control also is wrong, mistaken. And being satisfied somehow or other. Being satisfied, yes. When we have no time from Krishna consciousness, where is the question of dissatisfaction? What makes a person dissatisfied? Bad relationship, lack of money, lack of entertainment. But in Krishna consciousness, where is the time? A devotee has no time to sit on the walls of a lake and talk romantic nonsense. He has no time. He has to think of Krishna all the time. The senses are automatically controlled. So Krishna, a devotee knows how to control the senses. Many years ago, many years ago, I met one devotee who had supposedly fallen out. Like many years he had been out of this process. In fact, this happened in 2013. So I had known this devotee 12 years ago. 2001 was the last I had seen this devotee. And he had supposedly fallen away. And we all lost contact, no mobile phones, nothing. Then one day we were doing book distribution, door to door sort of. And we went to one mobile store to sell the books and we saw this devotee. He was selling mobile phones. And he was overwhelmed when he saw us. And he said, I still can't forget those days that we had in the temple doing the seva and, how happy I was. And then, of course, then afterwards he left the city, he went somewhere else. So you see, Prabhu, that is the position. A devotee cannot give up. So you see, a Mayavadi will fall down and he can fall down very, very disgracefully. Because a Mayavadi knows nothing. When he meets a female, then he'll be happy to enjoy the association of a female. The devotee has tasted the association of Krishna. Now, I'm not talking from a Sahajya perspective. Even from a very practical point of view, once you have rendered some service to Krishna, you have actually tasted the association of Krishna. And that's why you are enjoying it so much. And then if you fall away, you are not able to forget it. And this memory one day brings you back to the service of Krishna. May not be in this lifetime, maybe many lifetimes. But someday that memory drags you back to Krishna again. But a Mayavadi is lost. He's gone. That's it. He's like sheltered. He's under the shelter of Maya Devi. Because he has no taste. He has known nothing really. Beyond sense gratification, there is only nothingness for a Mayavadi. Because Mayavadi wants to become God. And God means again coming back to enjoy. So he's trying to enjoy the cheap way, shortcut. But a devotee knows there is no enjoyment here. Enjoyment is with Krishna. So, Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravashayitam Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahene Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam. When Pundarik Vidyanidhi, no, not Pundarik Vidyanidhi. When Pundarik Vidyanidhi heard the name of Krishna, he lost his composure. He couldn't see the word. So you see, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was opulent, he had everything. But when he heard the name of Krishna, the pastime of Krishna, he suddenly, he couldn't control himself. These great Vaishnavas, they would always control themselves externally. They would show like they were just ordinary people. Like once, who was it? Mukunda Datta. He was, I think, fanning the king, or Mukunda, or I don't remember the name of the devotee now. He was fanning the king, and suddenly there was someone singing the glories of Krishna, and this devotee, he just fainted. So you see, that is what happens. A devotee, when Krishna is revealed, then he is not able to restrain himself. So because of that, he finds no taste in material world. But a Mayavadi knows only this taste. So he may talk big philosophy, sense control, satisfaction, Jivadaya, but a Mayavadi has no idea of what he's saying. He will eventually fall. Because the principle is attraction, always. Attraction either to Krishna or to Maya. So the locus standi of bhakti is Krishna's attraction. So when we talk of Jivadaya, we talk about giving bhakti. When we talk of sense control, we talk about engaging in Krishna's service. When we talk of being satisfied, we talk about being satisfied with Krishna. Mayavadi doesn't know all these things.
Thank you very much.
Hari Hari. Yes, anyone else has a question or comment? Continue, text 20.
I have a question, sorry, just about that point you were mentioning about the devotees who find always some excuses why they are not doing bhakti or devotional service or preaching. So then, can you say something for them, or kind of let it be? Or
no, it's the same thing. It's the same principle, attraction. What is it that's attracting us? So you see, that's the end. There's a scientific process. We are not here to judge anyone. What we are saying is that you try to develop attraction for Krishna. When Keshan Prabhu talks about, talking about Krishna and Krishna consciousness, this is what he means. Try to understand who we are serving. Right? I understand we have to follow the regulative principles. We have to control the senses. We have to follow the instructions of, Upadesha Amrit. We have to follow all of that. But at the same time, we must try to develop love for Krishna also. So, like after we have done our day's sadhana, when our consciousness is purified, when we are sitting, then we should try to meditate on the pastimes of Krishna. Then we should meditate. How magnanimous Krishna is, how grand he is, how beautiful he is, how kind he is. Or maybe, like just a personal tip, you try to identify with those qualities of Krishna that attract you. Like Krishna is merciful. He's so kind. Look at Lord Chaitanya. Like he is Patita Pavan. Mahaprabhu would deliver just about anyone. He wouldn't care whether one is qualified or not. Or Nityananda Prabhu. Mahapatita Pavan. So you can focus on those qualities. It's not necessary that you have to always jump on the facial features of Krishna or his pastime with gopis. You don't need to go there. Krishna has millions of dimensions. Krishna is so powerful. Krishna has so many, facets. So we can focus on any of those. Krishna is so kind. He's so kind. Like when Sudama came, Krishna was so grateful to him. Krishna was actually crying when he saw Sudama. He engaged Rukmini Devi in his service. So you see, we can focus on so many qualities of Krishna. Krishna is not restricted to Ras Leela alone. That's just one of his activities. Krishna has many, many, many activities. He's so mischievous. People like children because children are mischievous. People love children. Why can't we love Krishna? Krishna is so mischievous. Krishna is engaging in so many types of mischief. In Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu was so mischievous also. Krishna is playful. Krishna is kind. Krishna is playful. Krishna is so intelligent. Everyone is attracted by intelligence. People love scientists and doctors and engineers and so many people. Why can't we love Krishna? Krishna is so intelligent. He's a master of 64 hours. If we read the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we will see these qualities of Krishna being explained so nicely. So with that, we can try to develop attraction to Krishna. And then gradually, you see, Dhyato Vishana Pumsha Sangasteshu Pajayate. When you slowly focus on Krishna, eventually you will become attached to him. And then there will be Asakti, Ruchi, Anartha Nivritti. There will be Anartha Nivritti, Asakti, Ruchi, and then you will be completely developing love of God. So that's the process. Okay, so we continue text 20. Apahata Sakalaya Shana Malatmanya.
Apahata Sakale Shanamalatmya.
Aviratam Edhita Bhavanao Pahuta.
Aviratam Edita Bhavano Pahuta.
Nijajana Vashagatvam Atmanoyan.
Nijajana Vashagatvam Atmanoyan.
Thus Sarati Chidravad Akshara Satamhi.
Na Sarati Chidravat Akshara Satamhi.
Yes. Would someone like to read?
Hare Krishna. May I read from
Yes, please.
translation? Being completely cleansed of all material desires, the devotees are freed from all mental contamination. Thus, they can always think of the Lord constantly and address Him very feelingly. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing Himself to be controlled by His devotees, does not leave them for a second, just as the sky overhead never becomes invisible. Purport. It is clear from the previous verse that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardhan, is very quickly satisfied by the activities of his devotees. The pure devotee is always absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated, Shrinvatam Swa Katha Krishna. By always thinking of Krishna, the pure devotee's heart is freed from all kinds of desires. In the material world, the heart of the living entity is filled with material desires. When the living entity is cleansed, he does not think of anything material. As the mind is completely cleansed, one attains the perfectional stage of mystic yoga. For then the yogi always sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. Dhyana vastuta tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. As soon as the Lord is seated within the heart of the devotee cannot be contaminated by the material modes of nature. As long as one is under the control of the material modes, he desires so many things and makes so many plans for material sense enjoyment. But as soon as the Lord is perceived in the heart, all material desires vanish. When the mind is completely free from material desire, the devotee can think of the Lord constantly. In this way, he becomes completely dependent upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays, Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Vadho, Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja, Stitadhuli Sadrisam Vichintaya. My dear Lord, I am your eternal servant, but somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of this material world. Kindly pick me up and fix me as a speck of dust at your lotus feet. Shiksha Ashtakam 5. Similarly, Shri Narottam Das Thakur prays, Ha ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta, Vrishabhanu Sutta Yuta, Karuna Karaha Ei Bara, Narottam Das Kay, Na Theliha Ranga Paya, Toma Vinay Ke Ache Mara. My dear Lord, you are now present with the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, Srimati Radharani. Now both of you, please be merciful upon me. Don't kick me away, because I have no shelter other than you. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes dependent on his devotee. The Lord is invincible, yet he is conquered by his pure devotee. He enjoys being dependent on his devotee, just as Krishna enjoyed being dependent on the mercy of Mother Yashoda. Thinking himself dependent on the devotee gives the Supreme Lord great enjoyment. Sometimes a king may engage a joker, and in the process of joking, the king is sometimes insulted. The king, however, enjoys these activities. Everyone worships the Supreme Lord with great reverence. Therefore, the Lord sometimes wants to enjoy the chastisement of his devotees. In this way, the relationship eternally existing between the Lord and his devotees like the sky overhead. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So, 2 points, very important points. Being completely cleansed of all material desires and thinking of the Lord constantly and addressing him very feelingly. So you see, when the glass is dirty, you cannot see outside. You may see some light, you may see some shapes, but you cannot really see anything clearly. In the mirror, if there's a lot of dust, then you can't see the image very clearly. You may see some impression, but you can't see the image properly. That's why we say Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadava Nirvapanam, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, cleansing the mirror of consciousness. So what is this dirt on the mirror of consciousness? Material desires. Material desires. Enjoying so much in this world. See, actually, we're not sitting on judgment on anybody here. We're not saying, oh, this is bad, this is good. No. Everything material is bad. Everything spiritual is good. Any material desire. It could be, like for example, in this material world, the attachment between a mother and son is very strong. That bond is very strong. But from a transcendental perspective, even that is material attachment. That is also the dirt which obscures us from seeing Krishna. That's why Narada Muni is saying that, by the mercy of the Lord, my mother was taken away and I became helplessly dependent on the Supreme. So you see, he's considering that as a mercy. Srila Prabhupada says something similar. He says, by Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, took away my mother when I was 16 years old. So you can imagine, why is that mercy? Why are they saying mercy? Who says he's happy when his mother has died? His or her mother has died. Who feels happy? But these acharyas are able to see the perspective. So you can understand at what standard bhakti is actually to be executed. So this is the point. Being completely cleansed of all material desires. Even a very advanced devotee will, a very senior devotee, not advanced, a very senior devotee will also get shocked. If you tell him, hey, your parents have died, now this is mercy of the Lord. No, even he'll not be able to reconcile to it. But that is how we are able to see once our consciousness is completely cleansed. That one attachment is gone. Now my only focus will be Krishna. So you see, we cannot address Krishna feelingly unless we understand Krishna, unless we have given up material desires. See, what is Srila Rupa Goswami saying? Atha bhajana kriya tato anartha nivritti syat tato nishtha ruchis tata. So you see, first there must be bhajan kriya. Bhajan kriya, that means devotional service. Then happens anartha nivritti. Tato anartha nivritti. Tato anartha nivritti syat. Then anartha nivritti takes place. After that comes nishtha. Then you become fixed. You become you attain that stability in bhakti. And then comes ruchi. Ruchi is interest. Literally translated, it just means interest in bhakti. So unless these anarthas are gone, there is no question of, nishtha, faith, firm faith. And without that, there is no question of ruchi. After ruchi comes to asaktis tato bhavas. So then asakti, attachment. What is asakti? You like sometimes you go to some hotel and you drink tea. Okay, I like this place. Or you buy only a particular brand of clothing or something. That's asakti. You're not particularly interested, but you're just there. You're just attached to it. So that comes after ruchi. After interest comes asakti, attachment. Then comes bhav. Then the feeling develops. So you see, and here we are talking about bhav. Aviratam edhita bhavanopahuta. Bhavanopahuta. So you see, so bhav. So we are talking about so many stages. We are talking about Shraddha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha-nivritti, Sadhu Sangha, Ruchi, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, and then Bhav. So we have to transcend so many stages. So therefore, process of purification, sadhana is extremely important. Sadhana is very, very important. And once one has attained the lotus feet of Krishna, then he'll never go there. See, Krishna, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing himself to be controlled by his devotees, does not leave them for a second, just as the sky overhead never becomes invisible. So Krishna is always there then. Then the jiva realizes, living entity realizes that Krishna is always with me. Krishna is actually always with everyone. But then we start realizing that Krishna is always there with us. So when the mind is completely free from material desire, the devotee can think of Krishna constantly. When students are preparing for some entrance examinations or something, we tell them to get rid of all distractions. No television, no mobile phones, no picnics, nothing. Just sit at home and study. Why? Because these are distractions. They are taking his mind away from his subject matter. They are taking his valuable time. So therefore, all these material attachments, they are distractions in our path to attaining Krishna. All these distractions are simply stopping us from achieving Krishna. So when Anartha-nivritti takes place, when we get rid of all these attachments, then we can realize Krishna. And for that also we need to pray to Krishna. See, here he's saying, Patitam ma vishame bhavam budau kripeya tava pada pankaja sthitidhuli sadrisham vichiddaya. I have fallen into this ocean, so you pick me up. Even there, we depend on Krishna to pick us up. Not that we can jump up to Krishna's lotus feet. No, Krishna will pick us up and situate us at his lotus feet. So Krishna is, so here now Prabhupada uses the example of a king engaging a joker. So that is our position. So when we talk about the 5 different rasas, Dasya Ras, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, we're talking about this. Who can be a friend to Krishna? If you see Narayan, you will not feel like jumping on his head and wrestling with him. And Narayan doesn't go out and he doesn't go out and do Ras Leela with the gopis. Narayan is grave. He's a supreme personality of Godhead. But Krishna is only a boy, jumping in the pastures, playing with other boys, flirting with the gopis. That's Krishna. That's Krishna's position. Not that he has become any lesser. He's still the same, but he is in his original position. Just like a policeman at home, he's wearing light clothes. He's enjoying, he's joking with his children, playing with his family, or relaxing. But in the street, he's wearing the uniform. He's not joking or doing anything. He's very strict. So that is the position, you see. So Krishna allows that for his devotee. But to reach that position, we have to be completely pure. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments? Okay, next verse is take this one, last for the day. Text 21. Na bhajati kumani kshininam sa ijjam.
Na bhajati kumani kshinam sa ijjam.
Harir andhanatma dhana priyo rasagya.
Harir radhana atma dhana priyo rasagya.
Shrita dhana kula karmanam madairye.
श्रुतधनं कुलकर्मणां माधैर्ये
विदधति पापम अकिंचनेषु सत्सु
विदधति पापम् अकिंचनेषु सत्येषु।
Yes.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Dandat pranam. Yes, please.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in processing the devotional service of the Lord. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees. Even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is depend on His pure devotees. He does not even accept the offerings of those who are not devotees. A pure devotee is one who feels he does not possess anything material. A devotee is always happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. Devotees may sometimes appear materially poor, but because they are spiritually advanced and enriched, they are most dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotees are free from attachment to family, society, friendship, children, and so on. They abandon affection for all these material possessions and are always happy in possessing the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead understands the position of his devotee. If a person derides a pure devotee, he is never recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the Supreme Lord never excuses one who offends a pure devotee. There are many examples of this in history. A great mystic yogi, Durvasa Muni, offended the great devotee Ambarish Maharaj. The great sage Durvasa was to be chastised by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. Even though the great mystic directly approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was never excused. Those on the path of liberation should be very careful not to offend a pure devotee. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. Na bhajati kumanishinam sa ijjam. He never accepts those whose hearts are dirty. So Krishna, who can be rich in front of Krishna? Krishna literally owns everything. In the previous days, there used to be these landlords, zamindars. They would own the whole village. And just the tillers, landowners, the farmers, they would just own land and they would just have some possessions, but everything was actually owned by the landlord. So in those days, the landlord owned everything. He could just kick out anyone he felt like, because he owned everything. So who could be richer than him? So just like that, Krishna owns everything. So who can be richer than him? The opulence, the prosperity of the demigods itself comes from the Supreme Lord. So where is the question of any human being being so rich? But Krishna is not attracted by wealth. He's the husband of the goddess of fortune. He's Madhav. What can please Madhav? So when the gopis became proud of their accomplishment in achieving the love of Krishna, Krishna abandoned them. Because Krishna is Atmaram, he is not concerned. But when the gopis became proud, Krishna didn't like it. Krishna didn't appreciate it. So Krishna doesn't appreciate the filth in our heart. Aham mameti. This Krishna cannot tolerate. But he tolerates pure devotional service. So you see, we may serve opulent, like Prabhupada said. Simply because you are offering doesn't mean that Krishna accepts it. Krishna is not accepting our money. Krishna is not accepting our possessions. Krishna is accepting our love. If there is love, Krishna accepts it. If there is no love, then Krishna will not accept anything. He is not happy. Why should he? What obligation he has to accept things from us? Simply because I am serving him doesn't mean that he should be accepting it. In fact, to think that I am serving Krishna, that itself is ahankar. We should think that, Krishna is so kindly, so mercifully allowing me to serve him. Ayi nanda tanuja kinkaram patitam maam vishame bhavam budhav kripiya tava pada pankaja sthit dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. Establish me as a speck of dust in your lotus feet. That means engage me in your service. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is begging for service from the Lord. So how can I say that I am serving the Lord? Like once Prabhupada was asked, so are you a servant of God? Prabhupada said, yes. No, someone asked, are you a servant? Are you God? Prabhupada said, no, I am a servant of God. But then Prabhupada paused and then he said, no, actually, I am a servant of the servant of God. A servant of God is no ordinary thing. So you see, that is humility. To understand that I can't even serve Krishna. So now here one important point Prabhupada is mentioning is those who are puffed up with material education, Shrutadhan Kula Karmanam Madairye Vidadhati Papam Akinchaneshu Satsu. So Vidadhati Papam. So out of mother, out of their pride, Shruta, knowledge, intelligence, education, dhana, knowledge, wealth, kula, aristocracy, karmanam, and fruitive activities. So if someone insults a pure devotee of the Lord, he is bound to suffer because Krishna will simply reject such a person immediately. See, Vaishnava aparadh is the most dangerous aparadh one can do. And why are we saying this? Because it's very logical. In Golok Vrindavan, everyone is a devotee. So if you're offending devotees here, how will you be happy in Golok? So Krishna will simply remove you from devotional service. So therefore, one has to be very careful. So, if someone thinks, oh, Srila Prabhupada said like this, but Prabhupada made so many mistakes. All of this is Vaishnava aparadh. And this is such a grave aparadh that it will immediately kick one out of bhakti. Immediately, one will be kicked out of bhakti. Krishna will take away all the taste in his heart. Then he will just hang in there, pretending to be a devotee, but he will not be a devotee at heart. At heart, his heart will become dry. We can see so many devotees. Like in my own experience, I have seen so many devotees who have spent 30, 35 years in bhakti. But because of offenses, now they have gone dry. They're not able to do anything. They are taking shelter of political parties. They're taking shelter of wealth, taking shelter of women, so many things. Because Krishna is not accepting their service anymore. They have lost the taste. So you see, one has to be very careful. One should never offend a pure devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, the question related with the next previous sloka. So we are in the material world. So we get distracted so many times. So if you get focused on Krishna conscious, so this will be happen for some time. Again, we get distracted, and being Grihastha, so there is some responsibilities and all these things. So we get distracted so many times, and we cannot completely concentrate. And for that, this thing will happen when we are completely interested. We get the ruchi or interest. So distraction will get less. But at this time, this will not happen completely. So how we can develop the interest, or we can stop this interaction from bhakti?
Very nice question, Prabhu. Very nice question. Actually, we are all in that stage, somehow or the other, all of us. So what we should do is, purify yourself. Like a man is climbing a mountain, he may fall down sometimes. So he gets up and goes again, like a child, like a baby. When a baby learns how to walk, he walks 2 steps and he falls down. Then he gets up, walks again 2 steps, again falls down. And it goes on for many weeks. And one may think, is this baby defective, or what's the problem with this baby? Why can't he walk? But gradually, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, eventually the baby starts walking. He learns how to balance himself. The baby doesn't know how to balance on two legs, so he falls down. So just like that, a devotee also in the beginning stages of bhakti will fall down. A devotee will want to look at cricket or news or something. It will happen. It will keep on happening. But a devotee has to keep on bringing his mind back. We are saying this part, this verse that we are referring to here. Bhajan kriya tato anartha nivritti. So you're doing bhajan, your anarthas are burning away, but they are not fully burnt away. Therefore, you are still attracted to these things. Tato nishtha ruchistata. So gradually you will develop nishtha. You will develop, okay, this is the right thing to do. I have to do this only. And then comes ruchi. Then will come interest. You like doing things, right now you are here with us. You could have been busy. Your colleagues, your friends, your relatives are too busy. They don't want to come for Bhagavatam, but you are here. That means there is some degree of ruchi here. Some anarthas have finished. Therefore, you have developed some ruchi. You have developed some faith in bhakti. That's why you are here. And that's why you are asking this question. So that itself is a sign of advancement. So if you keep on, if you keep on digging, remember that Jitan Majhi, or what was that man who dug the whole mountain and made a road out of it? So it takes time. A man with a simple scoop digging up the whole mountain took him like some 25, 30 years, but he did it. So bhakti is also like that. Keep on digging away. Every time, every day, keep pushing yourself a little more than the previous day. Let me think of Krishna a little more today. Then gradually you'll see one day will come when you will realize that 24 hours you are only thinking of Krishna and nothing else. And this will happen. This is the magic of bhakti. So don't worry, you're on the right path. Just keep pushing yourself a little more every day.
Yes, Prabhuji. Very well explanation. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you just said that Krishna eventually rejects those devotees who perform offenses and all, especially at Vaishnava crowd. But then we have also heard that even if a person serves Krishna or chants his name even once sincerely, Krishna never leaves him, even if that person goes away from him. So how do we really understand this?
See, one who chants sincerely will never commit Vaishnava Aparadha in the first place. If you love Krishna, how can you love anything?
Sometimes it may happen even unknowingly, Prabhuji. It might not,
that is always happening. Unknowing aparadhas are always happening. Jeev aparadh we are doing every moment. So, doing something knowingly. See, and aparadha also has a particular category. Aparadha, like for example, if you are walking on the street and I saw you, and I said, Hare Krishna, but there was so much noise and you couldn't see me, you couldn't hear me. Now, that's not an aparadha. It's a mild aparadha. It's a negligible aparadha. You'll feel some disturbance, that's all. Okay, but if I see you and I say, oh, nonsense, I don't want to see, that is really aparadha. And why? See, and aparadha also has a particular understanding. See, aparadha means, what is aparadha really? What is aparadha? It means being envious of Krishna. So we see someone preaching Krishna consciousness, we see someone executing devotional service, and we become envious of that quality. That is really aparadha. That is aparadha. Oh, why is he like this? Now I will show something. No, that is aparadha. Acting out of pride and envy. I am so good. How can I allow? Okay, now so and so Prabhuji has just joined us. I have been here for 20 years. I've been rendering bhakti, and now this devotee, he came just last year and now he's better than me. I will show him. That is aparadha. To think like that also is aparadha. Because I am envious. I am proud of my achievement and I don't want anyone else to take it away. That is aparadha. But then that also means that I never really had bhakti in the first place. Bhakti, the first stage in bhakti is humility. Krishna is explaining humility, pridelessness. First quality of divine nature is humility. So if I don't have humility to understand that bhakti is a gift from Krishna, then I am not qualified. Then I was never really chanting Krishna's names. So one has to be very careful.
But that will not come in one day, no, Prabhuji. That will come slowly.
Yeah, so don't offend Vaishnavas. Don't become envious of Vaishnavas. It takes time. It takes time. Bhakti, everything takes time. But, analyze yourself. See, where am I going wrong? Think, is this really inside me? Am I really envious? Am I really proud? Am I proud of my wealth? Am I proud of my education, my family, my, my appearance or anything? Is so-and-so devotee, am I envious of so-and-so devotee? Is that devotee like, why is that devotee so offensive to me? Why do I feel so much angry at that devotee? Analyze all of this and try to see everything from the perspective of Krishna consciousness, and it will all become very clear. That's why bhakti, bhakti means intelligence. You have to think. Analyze yourself. Prabhupada says you can understand bhakti simply by analyzing yourself. So this is what it is.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Hello,
Krishna.
Pram. Sometimes even aparadh happens because somebody take an offense of whatever even simple action we may have been doing. So in that case also a devotee sometimes suffers because the other devotee has taken an offense for some reason.
I didn't get you, Prabhu.
Sometimes devotee can take an offense to some action of ours, although we may have no intention of that kind. So that aparadh also is there.
That's a light aparadh, Prabhu. That will cause you some disturbance. That is not even an aparadh really. By mistake, if something happens, the material world is like an ocean, waves are coming and going. Unknowingly, we may commit so many things. But if there is no intention as such, you will feel some disturbance. But if the intention itself is to offend, that is really aparadh. I mean, now imagine this, Prabhu. Now you are trying to preach. You're struggling hard. You're struggling so hard with so many things and you're trying to preach. Now, if someone takes offense at that, that Prabhuji did not serve me rotis. I was asking him for 2 rotis, he gave me 1. No, that is not an offense. Your intention was never to offend him. You're trying to serve and he took offense. So actually he becomes offender, not you.
Agreed, but yeah, as you said, I understood. But both get the little bit of thing. So the person who is not understanding the situation will be a greater offender. But as you said, I got the answer. Like he will be disturbed, but that will be not treated as a big offense.
Yeah, that will not stop your bhakti at all. You are not intending to hurt anyone. It happened by mistake.
Understood.
Okay, so we stop here today.
Thank you.